This is going to be a film study video that I already had in the works anyway for Thursday night or Friday morning about the Ravens offensive line in specific situations. And then apparently Thursday, the Ravens offensive line, at minimum, had a difficult day during the joint practice in Green Bay. I can't really say that it's a surprise if we're going to have high expectations. If we have medium or average level expectations, then maybe it's not a surprise. Now, let's put it this way, however. If Tyler Linderbaum didn't play, which, we're starting off with the wrong foot there immediately, we still haven't solidified right guard yet. And I think right tackle is in a far better place than right guard in a lot of ways, even though no starter has been named. Makari and Rosengarten have given us good reps through 2 weeks. Mark Andrews didn't practice. That's concerning to some degree. I'm not surprised. The Packers, look, they won 6 of their last 8 games in the regular season in 2023. They were middle of the pack in terms of sacks overall in NFL ranking. I think they had finished with 45 or 47, 15th or 16th in the league. They have guys that can get after the quarterback. Rashawn Gary is one of them, first of all, obviously. He usually plays off the defense's right side against the left tackle from what I saw. So absent any film, I would assume he's going against our left tackle. Preston Smith, Lucas Van Ness, really big, strong athletes at D end. They're a base 4-3 team, so those are D ends that are in 3-point stances generally, in some cases 2-point stance in an obvious passing down. Kenny Clark, big D tackle, 7.5 sacks last year. I have no idea who was healthy for them or who did participate. But to discuss the O-line, the reports that you get, there's no reason we shouldn't believe them to some extent. But let's cover one other thing, I guess, that triggered or upset many of us as Ravens fans. Hamilton apparently got hurt on a play in the end zone against Christian Watson, walked off after looking injured, and then returned to the field, even though I don't think he actually returned to the field in terms of competing. I think it's a week and a half after another injury scare for him. Something like that. We're all still recovering from 2021 in terms of those injuries that we witnessed or heard about that happened on the same day and then the next day and then the third day, I think, in a row. So something like that, we're just now hoping to get to the regular season healthy overall. So without Linderbaum, Andrews, Hamilton gets hurt, and we got reports coming in from Packers media. We should probably just be happy that we got out of there with hopefully no short-term or long-term injuries. Now, personally, I'm not into updates, individual reports from other teams' reporters. And I will say this. I have exposure to some of the Packers media from spending time watching and analyzing or trying to analyze Lions film. And there are some extreme homers. I'm not going to name them. There's 2 that I've been exposed to. So I don't overreact to what they say. In fact, I don't see it because I have them muted. But I have no problem if you or anyone else wants to read the reports and give them some weight, because there is some film to back it up to an extent that we've already seen in the preseason against the Eagles and the Falcons. But I don't get moved or shifted or inflamed unless there is film that matches up with it. In this case, there is. And so perhaps it confirms some of the film. Perhaps that confirms some of the things we saw today, or we heard about today, excuse me. So what I had prepared today is kind of ironic, or tonight. A third down video, obvious passing situations. I think Todd Monken doesn't want to have to consistently allocate a tight end and or a running back on every single pass play to either stay in pass pro or chip release. Occasionally he'll go max protection on first or second down to take a shot downfield by design. These are going to be 16 third down situations where the play is known. It's a pass play. And generally, we're talking about 5 or 6 man protection scheme. In all of the 2 instances, there's actually 2 run plays shown in here to try to add something to the discussion about certain guys. We're going to focus on Falele, Voorhees, Rosengarten, Cleveland, who is just one of the most confusing offensive linemen we've had in a long time. Josh Jones as well, an interesting signee, almost reminds me of a poor man's Patrick Makari. So while me personally, I'm aware of the reports from Green Bay, and I understand your concern, and I don't try to minimize them. I wouldn't get too concerned, to be honest with you, with the caveat that some of our young guys, Voorhees and Rosengarten, are not the same player today that they will be in 2 or 3 months. I think that's quite obvious. Think back to Linderbaum's rookie year, all the things that were said about him in the preseason and early in the season, and then things turned out fantastic. So I will say this last point, and a reason why you should be upset or worried at certain points is because, and this was from a commenter on my videos. I forget the name, so forgive me for that. Someone who made a very astute observation said the fact that the Ravens media at practice doesn't get to report on any competition at left guard or right guard, that's confusing and kind of makes that irritation worse. Meaning, if there is a competition at left guard, right guard, the media doesn't get to see some of that time period, apparently. Jones is a guy who's played tackle and some guard in his career, but to my knowledge, has not been mentioned competing at left guard at all. Macari can play anywhere. Again, not been mentioned in competing anywhere at all. Nothing at guard, at least. And then Cleveland's playing center in the preseason with Linderbaum out, although Macari did play, I think, the first 2 possessions against the Falcons. So if we're going to have growing pains with Falele, with Voorhees, Rosengarten, understandable. But guys like Macari and Jones, even Cleveland, who's a veteran at this point, they should be closer to their efficiency level, their ceiling, I guess. And to not have any competition at all for left guard and right guard, at least from the reports that we get, while watching some of these young guys have issues in the preseason, I think it's understandable why Ravens fans would be frustrated, and then why a day like today against the Packers would anger some of us so. So I don't blame you. You're upset at all. I just I would look for more transparency from the media, sports media in general, I should say, and then also from the Ravens media in terms of reporting on any competitions. In any case, having said that, I always try to revert to the film. This ended up being a commentary for a long time. My apologies. Going to go through this by game and then by series. So it'll be 16 situations, and to use a phrase that I think matches up with what we saw from the Packers game today, apparently what we heard, mixed results. Third and 10, first possession. I would say that Voorhees and Falele struggle with change of direction stuff. I've talked about that a couple of times, but it's, for similar reasons, even though their size to strength ratio is quite different. Falele is a little top heavy at times. Now, he will let Jalen Carter slap to the inside towards his help, but his posture is broken too easily, in my opinion. I think his initial stabs or hand strikes are often slow. And so when he gets a fast twitch athlete like a Jalen Carter or someone else like that, it can get him out of position quickly because they're on top of him a little sooner with their strike, and they can almost basically make him tilted over like you see here. So it kind of happens on this play, even though he's not threatened by anything. It doesn't matter in this case. All right, so Voorhees has running back help in the B gap, and so the tackles are left one-on-one by themselves. That's gonna happen a lot in this offense, meaning you'll have 2 guys here and 2 guys here for the A and B, and then the tackles got to handle the outside on their own. Can improvements be made in certain things? Of course. Voorhees right now, I think, has trouble with change of direction stuff. You kind of get a little bit of a hint on it this play, but we'll see more of it during the course of the video, even though it does stay in front here. Second possession, 3rd and 5. Rosengarten looks really sticky at times to me. They talk about sticky coverage. I'm talking about sticky in terms of a tackle that just gets on you and stays on you. It's kind of like you can't get away from it. Meaning, like, if you slide into the B gap or whatever, he just stays on you. Now, I'm not sure who the D end out here is out here that he's dealing with. I think it's 75. It's not their starters. Jones over here at left tackle, first of all, it's good to see him get reps, but he almost seems to be crossing his feet sometimes. And we've got a somewhat deceiving angle here, but I'll refer to it a couple times in this video, and there's a couple of moves I think he might be susceptible to. He actually did it on the first play as well, almost crossed his feet. I think his feet aren't as quick as Macari's. He's a grinder, I would say, someone who doesn't have a lot of impressive clean-cut wins as a tackle, but he's got a whole bunch of split decisions, close split decisions where he does at least prevent the guy from getting to the quarterback, to use a combat sports reference. Voorhees on this one, little grabby at times. I think he's a guy that shows some lateral quickness also. He does go for jukes or hesitation moves, like I said, for me to use a basketball comparison. Some people just can't stay in front, and some people just can't. I think he's a guy who can. He certainly has the ability to. in this preseason, I think at times he's overreacted to things. Not necessarily the case here. Falele stones an inside linebacker and settles after one little gather step back. It's kind of an easy win for Falele from the standpoint of who he's dealing with. Johnson has to scramble, and that's the guy who makes the play. I don't think Falele is going to be able to peel off on people in the middle of the play and adjust. I feel like whatever he's got, whatever he's going to contribute, is going to be the assignment. I don't know that he's going to give you anything outside of the assignment. Third possession, it's a 2nd and 7. Cleveland jumps his guy here, and it's over. The rush is over. This is not an occupy rush by this shade. This guy his move is interrupted, and it's over. It's kind of like an interrupted jab in boxing or mixed martial arts, and it's a first round KO. This one is absolutely over with. I think Jones is a little grabby here, going left to right if we can. Jones is a little bit grabby here with the outside arm. Certain bigger offensive linemen make this work. The Packers is a team that not necessarily right now, but 3, 4, 5 years ago, they would like hold on every damn play, and that was one of the things they would do was kind of grab with the outside arm, and it was rarely called. If you compare Jones's hands to Macari on the other side, and he's got a guy with a chest facing him, meaning parallel to the line of scrimmage, where this guy's a little bit more at an angle, tilted, so it's somewhat different, maybe unfair of me. But watch Macari like pull his hands out and then re-engage. It's really quick. It happens right about here multiple times. So I'll run it back. It's almost like Mr. Miyagi in Karate Kid. Like he just really quickly pulls his hand down and then back up. Jones nearly gets his feet crossed again. And we haven't seen this yet, but I do worry about a like forklift moved or bull rush with him, and you will see it a little bit later. You just saw his feet cross over briefly. Forgive me, my player doesn't have a like 2 seconds back or 1 second back. The nature of football and the way that it works with film, teams are going to see that at a particular step in his drop, his feet start to cross over. I think a later developing forklift or bull rush or long arm frame that's planned is going to be a problem. This happens to be a 3 technique who's stunting out to clear the gap for an inside linebacker. So it's somewhat different than what I'm describing. Voorhees and Cleveland are stepping in opposite directions. Cleveland stepped here, Voorhees stepped here. That kind of opened this window. So now you've got Ali and then Voorhees peeling back late, trying to handle that guy. It ends up being incomplete or ruled incomplete, I think, over to the left-hand side on review. Third possession, still 3rd and 2. The running back releases here because it's mesh. And Voorhees does a nice job of working back against the slant here. So Voorhees is working to the side that everyone's stepping to generally. They're all stepping this way. And then he's going to work back against that and come back on this defensive lineman. They're all slanting this way and then bringing 54 to Macari. Macari, watch his eyes. He identifies it quickly, and he works back to the inside. So 58 drops out of there, and Macari's gone. I mean, he's been around so much, he's seen so much that he identifies things quickly and adjusts. Now, I'm not sure why Johnson doesn't want to throw this ball in the middle of the field at some point here. Look, the coverage is there on 83, Ishmael, I think. But our job as the quarterback is to get the ball to the playmakers. At a certain point, it's too late. This is too late, I guess, because Johnson pulled the ball down. He must sense 54 here. In my opinion, Johnson he's been a little jittery in the pocket, particularly against the Eagles. Excuse me. He was almost in like escape mode, and this is a 3-man rush. I wouldn't blame this on Patrick Macari. This is a 3-man rush. Johnson has a platform to throw from, but the concept, mesh, meaning 2 underneath drags. You got an underneath drag here, although he ends up sitting it down. I guess he's reading zone. And then a middle hook in the middle of the field. The concept is over. It's covered well, all right? The read's completed. So I'm kind of justifying why he's in escape mode, but you got a clean platform here to sit and throw from. There's instances in this Eagles game, like I said, where he's too jittery. I think you can throw the football on a particular side there in the middle of the field. I'm being kind of picky towards him, but you can throw the football to the tight end again. Think it's Ishmael in the middle of the field to a particular side and give him a chance to make a play. I think that's your job. I think that's what you're there for if you're Josh Johnson. Even when the defense has things covered well. If these guys work together more often, if they were the, God forbid, the starters and they got a lot of reps together, then maybe they would both react better and make something happen. Fourth possession now. This is actually a 2nd and 10. The edge defender, I thought this was a nickel during the game. The edge defender is a free rusher. All right, so regardless of why it happens, it did happen. Free rush. Johnson doesn't get anything on this ball. We'd like to see this ball get out there. We'd like to see this ball get to the running back. And you as a quarterback, if you're responsible for a free rusher, if it's an overload, get the ball out there. Well, this isn't an overload. It's just a free rusher. The running back's crossing his face. So, hey, is it possible the running back is supposed to help on a free rusher there? Sure, it's possible. This isn't slide protection. This isn't like, everybody for the offensive line is sliding this way and the running back is responsible for the edge defender here or whoever it is. And it's not an overload blitz. This is just 3 into the boundary for the Ravens, meaning the running back +2 in terms of our eligible receivers. And the Eagles happen to be in a perfect call here to get somebody off the edge. They're got these two occupying Jones and Voorhees, and then the edge defense. I mean, I feel like we should be able to pick this up. I feel like we should be able to handle this. Is it possible that the Eagles know, hey, when they have 3 into the boundary, the running back's going to release and he's not going to pass pro? Maybe. I'm not content with the protection here, even though I understand at the NFL level, at some point in time, you're going to leave the quarterback to deal with a free rusher conceptually. Here's an idea. Maybe we should run a little bit more than our predictable snag smash when we have 3 into the boundary. It's a high percentage play when we put 3 into the boundary in terms of a tight end, a receiver, and then a running back. So there's no check here. It doesn't look like a check here by the Eagles. I don't see anyone adjusting or identifying, hey, 3 into the boundary, we're going to run this. So this very well might have just been a call in the huddle for them. So it's disappointing to me that we can't deal with this. It ends up being a 4-man rush. It's smart sometimes to bring 3 off an edge. They're not all 3 rushing outside the tackle, but they're all 3 rushing to the side where there's guard, tackle, and running back. Rex Ryan, kind of made some of that stuff famous. All right, so 4th possession, still 3rd and 10. This one is not an RPO. Kind of looked like it to me live time. I think it ends up being 7 yards, so, we're close to the line to gain. I'm not sure why it's not an RPO. Certainly, 54 is dealing with it like it's an RPO, slow playing it, if you will. I found it confusing. 2:45 left in the second quarter, somewhere around there, 2:40. So I guess we just wanted to play defense and punt near the end of the second quarter. Is it possible that the previous play, the one I just showed you that had a free rusher at DN, is it possible that that had an impact on the play call here? I guess it's possible, but it's not an RPO. Almost looks just like a giveaway to me. We're basing most of these guys. Cleveland is working up, and because there's nothing that we're running behind him like a slant to hold him a little bit longer. 54 is able to fold back in. That's Trotter. I'd like to see something like this. And then we read him, maybe hold him for a split second longer. Folds inside, unblocked. Makes a tackle. Again, that's a 3rd and 10. So not a pass play like we were here to talk about. 5th possession, same dynamic happens. This is 2nd and 10. 97, the nose tackle, ends up picking Voorhees here. He makes lower body contact with Voorhees. Initially, I thought this was kind of random. I thought that Voorhees just kind of got caught up in a drive-by. But if you watch the timing of this D-tackle, when he loops over the top, it certainly looks like it's good timing and not just fortuitous by 95. 66 takes him down. We have no idea what call was being made by Cleveland. Cleveland looks, in a couple of these reps in this film that I'm showing you, both games, Cleveland looks like a wall. I mean, very smooth in pass pro, and that's what we're focusing on here. Very smooth in pass pro. kind of unfazed or unbothered. 97's looks like he's trying to win through here. Maybe he's not trying to win. Maybe he's just trying to get to that A-gap side and then pick Voorhees. In that case, it's successful. Whatever thoughts you have. Look, I'll tell you, I don't grade O-line every week. It's not my area of expertise. So I would suggest, for default purposes, default to Cole Jackson at Road Graders and Ken at Film Study Ravens. And here's why. They both look at Ravens O-line film every week. I would trust their judgments more than others, and I mean nationally known ratings organizations. I would trust those two more because they watch the same O-line every week, and they would be able to tell you, okay, he's had this problem since week 2 or week 1, or they'd say, hey, this has never been a problem before. Why is it a problem now? I'm talking about, as the season goes on. I will add one more thing here. Nolan Smith on the rusher over here to the left ends up dealing with 85, like not rushing at all. I found some confusing reps and plays from Nolan Smith on third watch here during this game, and I'll show you another one here coming up. This is the very next play from that 5th possession after the incompletion. 3rd and long, 3rd and 10, so we're inside of a minute in the second quarter, and look, 85 gets Nolan Smith to the ground. However you want to call it, call it whatever you want. Nolan Smith ends up on the ground, and 85 was the guy assigned to block him. We got a really light box, as you want to call it, too high safety structure. Well, it's 3rd and 10. I would like to see us deal with this backside D end. If this is truly what we're going to get, and we're trying to run the ball, and we're actually trying to get a first down, let's go ahead, and if we're going to give it, and let's block the backside D end. Let's force somebody else to make the tackle, not just let him close down for free. Voorhees, the bump down with Jones, actually I wonder if it does something to impede his timing. We need a little bit more from Voorhees in terms of horizontal expansion or vertical movement. One of those two, and this play is a good play, it's over. In terms of getting the first down, these two were comboing up to the inside linebacker. Again, if it's going to be a called give, I'd like to see us cut this on the backside and going ahead and help that cutback lane, just influence it a little more. But Voorhees is being broken down, if you ask me, by this D tackle. I feel like he's almost being shrugged from side to side. And again, the bump down from Jones may have played a role in that. But I don't think that Voorhees is handling it well. Those guys on the backside, Cleveland and Falele on a zone concept, they got to these guys. Falele certainly doesn't make it look smooth in this case. Again, I'd like to see us deal with the backside D end. 6th possession is a 3rd and 9. Jones kind of gets caught leaning to work from right to left on the screen. Jones kind of gets caught leaning by Nolan Smith here on the Nolan Smith puts his arm out. And then Jones gets caught leaning. And then as a result, look at the feet. Those feet are, he's already off balance, even though his feet aren't in the ground. To me, a delayed bull rush, a delayed forklift or something like that could be a potential problem for him. You kind of see an example of it a little bit later. But you got to have a guy who can threaten with speed and then be able to do that with power. At this point, Nolan Smith can threaten with the speed. Not sure that he can, run a forklift or a long arm or a frame or something like that late to deal with Jones. Rosengarten is again latched on. I mean, just latched. I mean that in a good way. Okay, he doesn't have the widest frame. Doesn't look like a bodybuilder, but I think there's some hand strength there, wrist and hand strength there with Rosengarten, and even forearms. And you'll see it again later on. Somebody's going to try to swat him and knock his arm down. It's an example of him being latched onto a D end, and it's pretty much over. I think this is Jalux Hunt, who's a rookie, a very athletic rookie, Houston Christian maybe, kind of jumped up draft boards. I think Rosengarten handles it well. Voorhees either remembers his hand placement, what he's trying to do in the middle of the play, or he's running a game here on the D tackles. You can see he's outside arm, kind of Frankenstein just for a moment, a little bit, and then in the middle of the play goes back underneath. So, and he also, with the left arm, you'll see it in a moment, there's definitely possibly a hold here, but he's got a white glove. That's his glove. I should probably get a better player where I can zoom in. That's his glove. And then the jersey is what's underneath. For a moment, I thought this entire bit of white here was the jersey. I was like, whoa, how'd they not call that? But he's got white gloves on And so it's not as bad from the ref's view up top as it is from ours. I do wonder about his ability on second engagement to be able to stay with fast twitch athletes. We had trouble with pass pro against Green Bay today. Some of this film, I think, kind of gives justification for that. But if we didn't have Linderbaum, and I have no idea if Stanley played, then I would expect us to really struggle. In any case, moving forward, or perhaps moving backwards, I guess, to week 2, this is a first possession, 3rd and 5 against the Falcons. It's just a clean loss for Voorhees. It's a hesitation hand swipe. I don't even know that it's a really well-executed move, to be honest with you, from the hips. But Voorhees also gets the left hand in his chin or his face mask, so that could interrupt part of it. So it's not a perfectly executed move, but it's good enough to make Voorhees look bad, and I mean real bad. This is one I think that Voorhees needs to see every third move in practice, meaning when you struggle with something and it becomes a known element, whatever you're doing as an athletic endeavor, it's a known element. We need you to work on that so much that it forces you out of that bad habit. Every rep, you're thinking about that hesitation move or that juke move. Now, you don't want to then be so light on your feet that you end up getting bull rush. So there's a real balance that's got to be played here in dealing with these hesitation, these athletic moves. And then the last rep I'll actually show you here. He does a better job, the last rep of this film. But you got to force out that overreaction in terms of your step and opening up that outside lane. He's got leverage, meaning the D-tackle has leverage to this gap here. Don't give him even more leverage by overreacting to the side. That's a very simplistic explanation to what happens on the next mouse click, but he's given him more leverage by overreacting to that side, in my opinion. You can work on whatever you want to work on drill-wise, but at every opportunity, I think he needs to see hesitation, juke, or even step-over moves that you don't get a whole lot as a guard. I do think, as an aside, it's pretty cool to see how smoothly Macari just transitions down there to center. He's a very unique player. We're very blessed to have him available at so many positions. I think Rosengarten on this one is mostly balanced, all the way over here to our left. Mostly balanced, but he's fallen for a little bit of a late jerk move by 50's left hand. So there's a nice second reaction here in a moment. Rosengarten's got his hands up high. Watch him. He'll adjust his inside hand, and when he does, 50 swats down with the outside hand immediately. So maybe we just have a convergence of the move that 50 was using and Rosengarten's, his inside hand sliding down. I kind of think it's a over-under attempt by Rosengarten, and 50's quick reaction is to pull down like a jerk move, essentially, and then rip with the inside hand. So whether you call that a win or not, I'm not sure, but the sack certainly gets applied to Voorhees. Second possession, 3rd and 6. Macari is tremendous on this stunt. Unfortunately, it has an impact on Johnson. So watch it just one more time through for Macari. He almost uses his left shoulder and his chest to pick up 50, who's stunting across. So 50 is here. He's going to stunt all the way across, kind of like this long stick move into the A-gap. And Johnson also, I think, senses it. He thinks it's going to work. He thinks the pressure's going to get there. And, I guess I say unfortunately, Macari's able to shoulder barge and chest this guy out of there. He's a very versatile and athletic, underrated athlete, really. I think you have to say it. Look, the pressure, I think, gets applied to Rosengarten. Cole Jackson, I think, talked about this, and we were messaging about it in a group chat that we have. And it's a little unfortunate he ends up getting the pressure. I think technically you have to assign it to him. But in reality, it's a byproduct of Johnson seeing pressure flash or seeing 50 flash, even though 50 doesn't get there. Macari stones him. It's a great job, if you ask me. So Johnson, as a result of the perceived pressure that you have here with 98 and 50, but Macari and Falele to a lesser extent, you got to give them credit. They won while they lost. They didn't lose, but meaning someone's gained inside leverage, but you keep fighting, and they won. They did. Johnson didn't realize that's what's going to happen, so he got flushed out of there. I don't think Falele and Macari, I think they end up winning even when they lost. So Johnson, got out of there, and the pressure ends up being applied to Rosengarten, who had control of his guy. So just an unusual set of circumstances, football. You put 22 human beings and all these refs out there, and random crazy stuff's going to happen. I don't think that's an indication of Rosengarten giving up a pressure organically. Third possession, 3rd and 4. Macari's out of there now. Cleveland's in at center. Voorhees beat again. Another hesitation. Now, there's a little bit of it's a real issue. But also, the inside linebacker, 40, I think it's Bertrand, he's a rookie, is threatening the A-gap blitz. So they're threatening, mug look. Multiple guys all up here threatening 6 different gaps, right? Well, 40 backs out of there. But I think what it does is it causes Voorhees to have this like Frankenstein arms, well, with his right arm at least, and the D tackle ends up swatting and ripping to that gap. So I'll play it back a couple of times so you can see it. 40 steps there, 72. Okay, I'm not sure if he's blitzing or not. Let me put my hand up to possibly help him and then help Cleveland. And then no, he backs out of there. Well, then that opens him up. As soon as that hand comes in, now that opens him up to the swat and then the rip. Clean loss, obviously. Partially created by the stunt or the fake stunt. So it's all related. And look, teams will do this. They'll try to bait him into these awkward arm positions to see if he's got that out of his game, that little Frankenstein look. Jones looking inside at left tackle here because, again, it was a mug look, and then he adjusts well to 47 back out here to the outside. I'm not sure 47 is super talented, but 47 tries a club, I guess, is what he's trying, and it doesn't work. Strong arms by Jones. It's a quick game concept, though, on 3rd and 4th, so the bar isn't really high in terms of how much time you've got to create for the quarterback. I know we've gone on long here, my apologies, but I've been working on this one anyway. So 4th possession, 4th and 2, great throw by Josh Johnson to Malik Cunningham. It's a sprint out concept to the right, a right-handed quarterback. So maybe we need to do more of this at times. Not 3-4 times a game, but once or maybe twice a game. Some people don't like sprint out concepts. Cool, but hey, check this out. First or second possession of the AFC Championship game, Chiefs went sprint out right. Very similar concept to us here. The only difference is we covered it up on the front side. We covered it up, and Mahomes couldn't get to it. So Mahomes, while he's on the move here to the right, throws this thing back to the middle of the field. Remember, Travis Kelce makes the leaping catch against Brandon Stevens on a 4th and 1. So sprint out on 4th and 1 is something that the Chiefs are willing to go to. I wouldn't like it on 4th and 1. I like it on plays where you can throw the ball away, like down in the end zone. 8 seconds left in the half, but you got no timeouts left. Go sprint out, because now if there's nothing open, we can just throw the thing out of bounds. So it's a viable strategy to use once or twice a game, maybe not 3 or 4, but something you can use at times, I think, to help the offensive line out. Same possession. This is the 3rd and 9, big throw to Tylan Wallace. Both of the DNs are running the same move. I'm going to let this happen multiple times here, try to catch the exact timestamp. I hope you guys hope this doesn't bother you, seeing it replayed multiple times. So if it does, forgive me. I mean, Falele's got his guy locked up. He's jammed up. These guys are both running the same move. It's going to be a club with the outside arm. 91s is a little bit later on Rosengarten. This one's already happened over here. It doesn't work in either case except for Jones. Kind of gets walked back into the quarterback's lap. It's not the exact same thing as I talked about earlier. It's not a forklift or whatever, but conceptually similar. When those feet when those feet end up almost crossing over, I think is when he's vulnerable to those moves. I think is when, he's not a super heavy guy anyway, when he can kind of be walked back, forklift, long arm, whatever you want to call it. Moving on to Voorhees a little bit. Voorhees is got help to his A-gap inside, meaning he's got Cleveland stepping to him because the running back has the other A-gap. So because of that, Voorhees has got the awareness to look out here while he's framing up that D tackle, looking to help out on Jones. So the awareness is there. I mean, it should be, right? The awareness should be there. We've this late in training camp. Falele knocked the guy's helmet off with 2 arms. Looked pretty good. Just holding the guy back, not letting him get involved in the fight at all. And then Rosengarten over here, like I said, club by 91, up on the bicep, maybe a little bit high, almost the shoulder. Handled it well. I thought he played well. I think Cole Jackson did a video on him. Check that one out or let me know what he said, because I would anticipate that he said he played quite well, because that would be my impression also. Cheap play here, nothing really offensive line designed to go over, except for our version of it is that we're getting 1 into the flats, and then Ishmael is 2, kind of curling in here late. Cunningham, I think, is just to try to clear out the center, or clear out the corner. Excuse me, we're not able to get 52 picked. I think Ishmael has dual responsibility here. I think he's supposed to pick or wall 52 and then try to roll here into that second window. We're leaving the D end unblocked. 52 climbs over the top. He's a heck of a player. I think he's a really good player. So is 40 Bertrand. I don't think either of them are starters. Voorhees a little bit better. It's too much shake, though. It's too much juke by the D tackle he's got. This is later in the game. Third quarter. I think late third quarter, but I could be wrong. You got just too much shake here, and Voorhees handles it better. Rosengarten up against 91 again. 91 tries to upend the inside arm. Tries to upend Rosengarten's inside arm. And then his right arm, 91's, ends up underneath Rosengarten's chin. I was concerned about his ability to anchor at his weight, and looks way better at it than I would have, than my worst fears. Let's do it that way. I didn't think that it would be a large issue, but if he was going to have an issue, I would have thought that would have been the types of moves he would struggle with. It looks strong enough to me. Look, as an aside, for some of these guys, Falele included, Voorhees, rookie, Rosengarten, rookie. The thing to remember is a year ago, Brandon Stevens, watching him in preseason, no one had a clue the season he was about to have. Ben Powers, 2 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong, 2022. I don't think any of us would have predicted the type of season that he was about to have and parlay that into a big contract with the Broncos. My point is, I think it's entirely possible that one of these offensive linemen is on that track, or something similar. Maybe not as high a ceiling as Ben Powers or as high a ceiling as Brandon Stevens showed last year, but the coaching staff believes in them. Certainly days like today are difficult to listen to, and we do have film of certain struggles. Voorhees at times. I think I've identified a specific type of move that Jones may have trouble with. If he played more and Ronnie Stanley played less, it's entirely possible him dealing with a guy like Rashawn Gary or someone else, that move was utilized by them and gave him issues. So you guys have to let me know if you agreed with some of the tape that I broke down, the warnings or dampening of some of the Packers media reports, because I have exposure to at least 2 of them that I would consider to be abject homers. And the lack of reports by the Ravens, reporters that I saw on Twitter, I think is also interesting. But I haven't read any of the articles that are out there. I know 2 or 3 of them have been linked up on Twitter, but I think they're behind paywalls and I can't read them. So in any case, I was planning on this video anyway. It certainly went quite long. You guys have to let me know if you enjoyed it or if you found it to be annoying that I went over 16 pass rush plays, or 14 really, and 2 run concepts in such detail. But my experience of grading O-linemen is, you work left to right, you work right to left, or you work inside out, whatever the pass pro is called, and you got to go over it multiple times. And for me, at least the times I've been in the room grading my linebackers or grading safeties or whatever, while the O-lineman's over on the other side of the room, it takes a heck of a lot of time. So in any case, I appreciate you guys' time, man. Let me know if you are still as upset or worried or anxious about the O-line as many people were throughout the day today, throughout the afternoon. And if you enjoyed this video or you think other Ravens fans would enjoy it, then please consider grabbing a link to this content and sharing it out on social media so this video can get more reach.